Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over Black Killer Masamune a second time. I just want to make sure everybody is on the same page here and is ready for her when she drops, as she is a huge deal in Japan and she's going to be a pretty big deal in global as well. So, what makes Black Killer Masamune so powerful? Well, she's pretty much just the best raiding unit in the game. She is specifically built for raids, she has a kit that does very well in them. But beyond that, she's also just an extremely powerful fire unit, remaining among the best fire units even a year later in Japan. She is a very good investment as her longevity is almost guaranteed unless the global exclusives do something extremely weird. She's going to be good for a very long time to come, which makes her an investment worth getting. How much should you put down for her, though? Well, it's going to depend. The first thing you guys need to do is take a look at the banners. If your banner is a rotating banner and it has no guarantee, wait until the following week and see what banner you get then. If you want to pull for Black Killer Masamune, I highly suggest waiting until you see a banner that has a guarantee on it at any step. If you really want to go all in. If you want her, get her. If you think you can live without her, then it's your decision what you want to do. What I will say is, she is still a mainstay on my fire team and my raiding team if I'm trying to be really lazy. There are definitely some setups now that don't require Black Killer Masamune quite like they used to, but she's still the core raid member that I go to all the time. And you could even go back to all of my Kasumi videos from the Kasumi, the movie event, and you'll see Black Killer Masamune in several of them because she is that good. She is that good. But, and this is a big but, she is not going to be like Roxy was on release. She is not going to drop into global and just absolutely curb stomp every other unit into the ground. That's just not the type of unit Black Killer Masamune is. And if you pull on her with the idea that she's going to be like the OG Roxy when she dropped, or like Kaigan Levi when he dropped, you're going to be very disappointed, because she is not that. What Black Killer Masamune is more than anything else is an insanely consistent, powerful unit that has time and time again proven herself in the most difficult Japanese content with very little shortcomings. She does have one shortcoming, which I will go over here in just a minute, but we're going to push that to the side for the moment. She is not the kind of unit that's just going to come in and run over everything with absolutely nothing able to stop her. Okay? So now that we've gotten that out of the way, what is her shortcoming? Her shortcoming is the fact, and this is going to sound really stupid, but once you start playing with her, you'll kind of understand what I'm saying. As long as Black Killer Masamune does not die, she will not die. And that sounds incredibly obvious, but the way Black Killer Masamune works is she jumps into the middle of the fray, she soaks up a ton of damage, and she regens jewels off of it using the Berserker reactive, and then she releases Hell. She's got a drain attack, so she can just attack and then burn herself the whole way back up to full health. She also has healing on her Snowball, which will make the regen on her more effective. And yes, you should be running regen on Black Killer Masamune. That is pretty much core on her, because you want to send her in. If Black Killer Masamune is not in the middle of like all of the enemy units, you're more or less using her wrong. You want enemies to hit her. But she's no tank. She will die if you're not careful. So keep that in mind. In any kind of content where the enemies can't kill her, however, she's just not going to die. But if they can, you do need to be careful, as she will get slaughtered if you send her into a bunch of enemies she can't handle herself. And once again, I know that sounds incredibly stupid and redundant, but it is an important thing to note. She's not going to go in and evade a bunch of times. She's going to get hit. She's not going to have the same kind of regen that Roxy did on her reactive, which made her unkillable. That's really all I have to say about her. That is her major weakness. Other than that, she's just not very good on slash maps or maps that resist slash, and yeah, that's about it. She's pretty great at everything else. Not only does she have her unique, however, she also has access to her berserker, which, if you set it up properly, can start whacking raid bosses for 100k in auto attack. And the whole point of the berserker setup is to set yourself up and kill all of your allies, and then just keep whacking the boss until you run out of turns. There's really not much else to say about that. She is arguably the most effective unit at doing this in the game, and I have used her like this, as well as several other Japanese players have used her like this to get some pretty high numbers in raids. Back when Black Killer Masamune was at her strongest and raids hadn't started to like anticipate her, you could do like 1,000,000 damage a hit with her on manual. With relative ease, I might add. So, what makes her so strong? Because we've been over this again and again and again, and it's, I've just said that she's not like OG Roxy, and she's not going to be like Levi. Well, what makes Black Killer Masamune so insanely strong at raiding are her supporting units. Lupinus, Daisy, Emma, Carla, I think Kaya, as well as Dorothea, they all have fire resistance down. Fire has the best fire resistance down options, or elemental resist down options, of any element, as well as having a free summoner with the what is it, the Arcana Raton reactive from the Gartha summoner. Um, yeah, you can get much higher fire resistance down on bosses with this particular element than you can any other element, and almost all, with very few exceptions, are farmable units. So it's a very convenient element to have a ringer like Black Killer Masamune in. Generally speaking, Black Killer Masamune is going to be your main piece. She is going to be doing the bulk of the damage, while all the other units support her. Not, I mean, don't get me wrong, the other units can do damage, but they're not going to do Black Killer Masamune damage. Something else to note about her is you do have access to her unique reactive, and this works like every other Black Killer reactive. It's going to counter the damage for half the damage you take, but remember, her snowball is on hit, which means every time she hits something, including from her reactive, she's going to get another stack on her snowball. So you can use that reactive to stack her snowball faster. I don't use it very often, but there have been a few occasions where I've used it, as she gets speed, damage, and heal modifier off of her snowball. It makes it very effective if you stack it up real fast, as you might be able to get yourself an extra turn if you bump yourself up a speed or a CT tier. Anyways, as far as gear goes, she's mostly just going to be using her own sword. However, if you happen to have the Reaper Scythe, do remember that this does have delay on it, which is super useful on any boss that is susceptible to delay. And as she does a lot of damage just through normal attacks, it's not a bad option to have. I have used it like that on rare, and I mean rare, occasions. She can really use anything she wants. Her weapon ability isn't like it's super important. And there are even some bosses where you want to remove her weapon, because the weapon ability will daze them, which will bind them, which will prevent them from moving and attacking, which will actually make their turns come faster. So if you're running on auto, make sure you keep that in mind if the boss is susceptible to those ailments. I do like to run the Levi Teacup on her. It's going to give her extra giant bonus damage, as well as some speed and slash modifier. It's honestly, I think, best in slot on her for raiding as a general item, unless you have, like, I don't know, like the Reiner gun maybe. Otherwise, yeah, the Teacup is a great option on her just in general. And then you're going to want to probably run regen on her. Remember that Black Killer Masamune wants to be in the middle of all the enemies, and hopefully she isn't going to die, but if her HP starts getting down pretty low, having the extra healing modifier stacked on top of the regen armor or the Alchemist Scarf is going to help her out a lot. Remember that the Alchemist Scarf does have a higher base regen value at the cost of a little bit of base HP. Other than that, that is Black Killer Masamune. I'm not going to show off her skill set, as I'm pretty sure I have already done a video on that. As for her Kaigen, I just maxed it out. You don't have to max Gate 3. In fact, Gate 3 is probably best not to be maxed. But in this particular raid, in the POTK raids, it's going to give you extra damage modifier on hybrids, which is the POTK enemy type. So if you're looking to maximize your damage in the POTK raids, it might not be a bad idea. Um, might not be the best though, as it's going to cost a lot of extra resources. Just so that way you guys know, her Gate 5 is going to change her TP attack to give defense down to 0, so she'll basically just 100% cut the enemy's defense, which is super nice, and gives her 5 charges of it and ups the damage, which is super nice. Um, but yeah, that's Black Killer Masamune. So let's just quick go over what kind of banners you should be pulling on. In general, if you get one of those like 3-step rotating banners, you should probably just hold off. I'm not gonna lie. She's great, but she's not worth pulling on a banner that doesn't have a guarantee. At least not right now. There's a good chance that you will get a banner with a guarantee. I'm not going to say that you're going to, but there is a good chance, even if it is on like a 7 or 9 step. If you really want this unit, I'm not going to say it's not worth it. She is still a meta unit in Japan. I still use her a lot. She's on every fire team I run, whether it's magic or not. In fact, Roxy was actually... I'm sorry, not Roxy. Bakela Masamune was so powerful that when they released the FMA event, I swear to God, they freaking put anti-slash maps in for Lust's EX just so we couldn't use her. I'm like, I can't say for certain that's why they did it, but I feel like that's why they did it, because at that point, she was running roughshod over most of the content in the game. Because as I said before, as long as she doesn't die in between turns, she just doesn't die at all. If you do get the guaranteed steps, then it's up to you. I'm not going to say she's worth 20,000 gems, because that's a very personal decision. Am I glad I got her? Yes, I'm extremely glad I got her. She's been probably one of my most used units, if not my most used unit, in this entire time that I've played. You know, there's just not much else to say about it. I mean, if you ask just about anyone from the Japan server, they'll tell you how core she has been for raiding for us, but you do have to remember, global exclusives can change how this outcome works. I have absolutely no idea exactly how that's going to play out. We also don't know how the Kaigen gates are going to be released for global. There's a chance that you'll get units that'll change how your meta developed, possibly making her less impactful than she was in Japan. But I will say that she is still meta in Japan, and she is definitely a unit worth getting your hands on if you have the means to. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. I hope this kind of put things in perspective. I want you guys to be hyped for this one, because this is actually a unit worth getting hyped for. But I also don't want you guys getting too overhyped, because she's not going to be like a ringer like Roxy was on release. She's not going to be that triple S plus rank or whatever the hell Roxy was like listed as in the global tier list. She's not going to be that unit. She's going to be an insanely powerful and consistent unit. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you next time.